Participants. Close.
Okay. Boker Tov, everyone. We are all aware that there are 70 different faces to the Torah, meaning that the Torah can be viewed in many, many different ways. The idea of spirituality and eternity is the fact that it is unlimited.
In progress.
And therefore, the Torah has many different views. Something happened?
She's not muted. Mute all.
So we are accustomed to dealing with the Torah bit by bit, parsha by parsha. But there is another way of viewing it as being one continuous narrative, so that it has to, so to speak, fit into the narrative description and not just into individual parshas. And Rashi often alludes to this when Rashi says, as he does in this week's parsha, Loma nismecha parsha zu leparsha zu. Why does this parsha follow the other parsha? Now, if you looked at the Torah parsha by parsha, so then there's no room for that question. There's no reason to ask the question, because parsha by parsha, they're not connected. But because of the fact that we want to view it as a narrative, so then we have to find out what the smichas of parshas is. What's the relationship one to another? So let's look at our parsha, but in the context of the whole Chumash of Bamidbar. The narrative of Bamidbar begins in Balotcha, and it will end in Parshas Maseh. Now, there are various components. In Balotcha, we read already about the fact that Yitro left the Jewish people. They wouldn't go to Eretz Yisrael. We read about the fact that they complained about the food. And then we read about the fact that they send spies. And then we read about the fact that there's a rebellion against Moshe. In this week's Parsha, we read that Miriam and Aaron pass away. Then we're going to have the Parsha of Balak. Bilam comes to curse the Jewish people. The Jewish people end up in a war with Midian. Then we're going to have that the Jewish people conquer the property of Sichon, of the Amori and Og Melech HaBoshon. And now the whole generation dies in the desert. And they're at the entrance point there to Israel. That's Chumash Bamidbar. The Dvarim has very little narrative to it. So the narrative is here. So what's going on? How do we look at this? So again, there's a tendency to look at each and every one of these events as a one-off. The event occurred, we study it, and then let's go to the next. But if we look at it as a narrative, there's a whole story to be told here. And the story basically put, the Meforshim explain, is that the Jewish people have to be weaned from a miraculous supernatural existence and have to somehow stand on their own as an independent people, self-sufficient in a natural world. The Chazal say in this week's Parsha, when Miriam died, the Be'er, the well of water, the miraculous well disappeared. When Aaron died, the Anonei Kovod, the clouds that smoothed the road, controlled the weather, made everything so bearable, that disappeared. When Moshe dies, the moon disappears. So these are all miraculous events that will no longer take place. Never again. We never again have one that falls from heaven. Or do we have Anonei Kovod that regulate our natural world? Or do we have a miraculous well? And the Torah says it, Ki Hashem Elokecha meviacha al eretz tova. The Rabbanu Shalom is bringing you to a good land. Eretz Nachalei Mayim, a land that has water, streams, rivers. Not only that, that has a rainy season, that you'll be able to store water. And you want to eat, so then the Torah lists that it has olives and has pomegranates and has wheat and it has barley. That's the land that I'm bringing you to. The example, we see it in nature. I saw a documentary this week about bears. I like bears. It's my name, I'm looking for. So the mother nurses the bear for 2 years. Sometimes 2 years and 2 months, but not more than that. After that, the mother absolutely drives the cub out. There's a difference of opinion amongst the animal experts, where the mother even recognizes her child 3 years later, 4 years later, when the cub has grown to this enormous creature. She drives them out because that's the time you got to make it on your own. If you don't make it on your own, you're doomed. And to a certain extent, that should be true for human beings too. You can't always be dependent upon parents, upon others. You have to be able to do it on your own. So here you have the Jewish people. Am Yotzo Mitzrayim. A nation Egypt had babies after hundreds of years of slavery, after the fact that they had one thing about slavery is that it induces no sense of responsibility in the slave. The Gemara says, Avda behefkera nechole. The slave is very happy that no one demands anything from him. There's nothing that is essential for the slave to do. So that's the state of the Jewish people. And the Rebbeinu Shalom sets up for us immediately a target goal, which is the Torah that was given to us at Sinai. This is what you're supposed to live up to. This is your mission. Now, in order for you to accomplish this mission, heaven understands that you need help. So I'm going to give you 40 years of miracles. You're not going to have to earn a living. You're not going to have to plant or harvest. You're not going to have the necessity of a normal state of it. All of this is not going to happen for you. I'm going to take care of it for you. So Miriam will provide you with water, and Aaron will provide you with clouds of glory and an environment, and Moshe will provide you with food, and that'll get you started. But after the 40 years are over, all of this is going away. It's not going to be again. You're going to have to do it on your own. So instead of it occurring on its own, there's a gradual weaning that goes on here. So one of the things that one has to learn in life is how to absorb and deal with punishments and disappointments. You have to learn it's not a perfect world. And no matter what you do, there's going to be problems. So the Chumash of Bamidbar gives us the problems. He thought that Yitro was going to, well, you're going to be our advisor. You're going to be our eyes. You're going to be everything that we want. Not only that, if you go with us, that means the world approves of us. Because we can say, look, we have Yitro with us. So there's approval from outside of the Jewish people.
Does anybody know what's happened?
I hope someone's working on fixing the problem. It's not just sound. We lost the rabbi completely. He's not in our group. He got dropped.